This is his video. I recommend his content. He does like tier lists and stuff like that. But if we look, so you can see, this is the main chain. Okay. So these are the pre-patch values for how much damage extra you get with each blessing. So you can see it was 5%, 5%, 5%, 5%, 5%, 5%, 5%, 5%, 5%, 5%, all the way down, right? Until, 20, when you're at essentially a 100% damage boost, right? Now, it's a little bit different. Now it's 10%, 10%. So the first two, very, very big. You're looking at double of what you had before. Then back to 5% for the next couple. Then 7%, which is a weird one. I don't know what's up with this, but then 7% here. 8%, 5%, 5%, 5%, 5%, 10% here. This is a big one. Like, if you look at this, look at the difference here. If you're at a times 12, which this is right around where it starts to go from you need 2 to you need 3, right? So this is where it starts to get way harder. Like, I was at 12 for a very long time on the first playthrough of the DLC. So you can see here that it goes from, previously you would be at 60% more damage. Now you're at 85% more damage. So this is a pretty big change. And I think this is a perfect change, because the great thing about this change is that it does not hurt the hardcore people. Like, I've seen a lot of people commenting and being like, man, I'm so happy I beat the DLC before this change went into place and stuff like that. This literally does not impact you at all unless you want it to, because the SCAD tree upgrades are optional. They're entirely optional. So if you're one of those hardcore gamers that doesn't want your summons and they don't want magic and they want the game to be harder, just don't use the shadow blessings. It's literally that simple. And that's why I think it's the perfect change. Is it's like, you can choose how many of these you want to get. And the main thing was that, the game felt really, really bad when you first get into it. You have no SCAD tree blessings because you go from being a god in the base game to being like nothing and getting owned by dogs and stuff like that. And now this completely remedies this. I said that they should like start you with a 2 or a 3. Or no, I think I said in the review that they should start you with a 3 or a 4. And I mean, look, it's almost like they listened, because a 3 or a 4, I mean, obviously they didn't listen to me, but it's almost like I was right on the money, because before you'd be at a 15% damage increase and a 20% damage increase at 3 and 4. Well, now you're basically at that with a 1. Like, just right out the gate, you come out, you get your first SCAD tree thing at the first bonfire, boom, you're already 10% damage. And then by 2 and by 3, like, you're significantly stronger than you were before. And I think this also is really, really good because it helps people that are like me, right? You beat the game once, you like fully explored everything, and it's fun to fully explore everything once. But you don't want to have to go through and fight every single hippo and look for every single dude with a jar on his head on subsequent playthroughs, right? On different characters. It does stay with you in New Game Plus, but I don't really like the scaling of New Game Plus. I much prefer just making a brand new character. So it makes it so you don't have to like fully explore and hunt down every dude with a pot every single subsequent playthrough, because realistically, like, looking at these, you can get to a 12 and you can be insanely strong. Like, once you're at a times 12 blessing, you're 85% more damage, which previously you would have needed to be at a 17 for, which is like the difference between a 12 blessing and a 17 blessing is massive. I mean, that's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21 fragments you'd have to get the same amount of power that you now have. That is massive, dude. And you know, that's the damage side of things. In terms of the defense, you can see here, this says pre-patch. It's supposed to say post-patch. You know, he had a little bit of an editing issue, you know. And once again, shout out to Yui. This is all from Yui. Dude does great content. But even on here, you know, you can see that you're taking significantly less damage now with the blessings. And at 12 blessings, you know, you're at 54%. You're literally getting, you know, almost 10% less damage taken at the same level of boost, which previously you would have had to be at like an 18, right? Or I guess a 17. So like the new 12 is the new 17, which that sounds terrible if you take that out of context. But in the context of Shadow Blessings, is really great. Like a 12 Shadow Tree Blessing is now the equivalent of a 17 beforehand. And I just think that's awesome. It means you don't have to spend so many hours scouring every single inch and fighting every single enemy and hoping that, you know, they drop a fragment. Now you can actually just play through. So it's a great change in my opinion. I think they did great.